Welcome back. Last night we brought you part one of Dominic's conversation with Jonathan Moore. Moore, the civil rights attorney who is now representing Eric Garner's family in their $75 million lawsuit against the city of New York as well as the NYPD. He spoke with Dominic about why the video of Garner being put in a deadly chokehold by an NYPD officer is substantial to the case. Moore also discusses why he believes the system involving the DA is flawed. Dominic?
Well, Richard, the new lawyer on the Garner case has been very successful in suing the city of New York over the years. But he wants to know what is taking Staten Island District Attorney Dan Donovan so long to get an indictment in the Garner case, wondering if any indictment will come at all. You have said you have no confidence in Staten Island District Attorney Dan Donovan. Why not?
Well, I think he should be given a chance. I mean, he's had a chance. He's had it over 3 months now, and unlike in the Ferguson case, there's a video showing what happened. And anybody looking in that video, any sort of reasonably objective, prudent police officer would say, "Wait a minute, something went wrong here." Because not only did they, even if you say that because he was a big man, they had to do something to bring him to the ground. Once he was on the ground, they still had their arm around his neck, so they were still constricting his airways, and they were on top of him, so that was preventing him from breathing. And that, as the medical examiner found, was a recipe for disaster. That's what killed him. The neck compression coupled with the chest compression. And it's right there on the screen. I can't understand why it would take so long to really present that to a grand jury. You know, that's not unusual in these cases. You remember in the Diallo case, it took him several months, and only after a lot of pressure from the community of people being arrested every day in front of one police plaza that the district attorney in the Bronx eventually brought an indictment against the officers involved in Diallo. You know, I think in these cases, what we've argued over the years is that in these cases where these high-profile police misconduct cases, that there really should be a special prosecutor appointed, or go to the federal government. You rely on the U.S. attorney to bring the case, because the district attorneys are just too close to the police. They rely on the police day in and day out to make their cases. And when the police become the defendants, not only awkward, but it gets difficult to trust that they're going to do the right thing.
But do you really have a case, counselor? Because in that same video, Mr. Garner clearly resists arrest.
Well, I would dispute whether he clearly resists arrest. And if you watch and listen to the video, I don't think you ever hear any of the officers saying, "You're under arrest. You're under arrest." What you see is an officer going behind him. I mean, he's clearly frustrated, but arguably,
and he says this stops today.
Arguably, there's a reason why he's frustrated, because he's out there every day. They know him. The allegation is that he was harassed on a daily basis for doing what he did. You can pass judgment on how he was making a living, but he was making a living supporting 4 kids and a wife, and trying to make a living in a really tough world for a lot of people. I know the police unions and Pat Lynch keeps saying, well, when is his family going to apologize for the fact that Eric Garner resisted arrest? But I don't see him resisting arrest. I see him questioning why they're doing what they're doing, which if you look at almost all these videos that come out now, you see that a lot. And that's not a reason to arrest somebody. And the police should be trained to de-escalate that situation. There's a way they could have done that without just pulling him down to the ground in front of a plate glass window. That window could have broken. That shows to me, just from what I've seen, a real lack of proper training of these officers.
You mentioned the union. Pat Lynch says, looking at the same video, no chokehold.
Well, I don't know how he could say that, because there's an arm around his neck, and clearly, I mean, the medical examiner of the city of New York is not somebody who is, hired by plaintiffs' lawyers or, funded by any political organizations. He's an employee of the city of New York, they've rendered an opinion that there was neck compression and chest compression. The neck compression can only have come through that arm around his neck. Now, that's one of the problems with the way that the officers have been trained on this over the years, that the standard for when you can use this kind of hold has gradually eased. In the regulations, it says you can't use a arm around the neck if it may impair your breathing. That's a very low standard. And what it's evolved into over the years is you can use it unless it substantially impairs somebody's breathing, which really, substantially impairs means they're close to death. So we'll be looking at that as well. Ultimately, in addition to the responsibility of the officers involved, not only the officer who was applying the chokehold, but the other officers there as well, because if they see something going wrong, they have a duty, a sworn duty to protect everybody from misconduct. And they're all standing around watching this happening. And by the way, they don't look like they're really concerned about the fact after he's lying on the ground, obviously not moving, they're not really moving to give him any assistance, give him CPR or anything like that.
Keep in mind, Jonathan Moore, the attorney you just watched that interview, is the same lawyer that just got the $40 million settlement against the city of New York, Richard, in the Central Park case.
Okay, when we come back, I want to bring the table and you in on this conversation, Dominic, because between some of the evidence that's coming out in Missouri right now, or at least the account from the officer involved in that particular shooting, and also some of the outstanding questions surrounding the Staten Island case, what might be going on behind the scenes to help mitigate what might be a very difficult scene if in fact convictions will not or may not be achieved. We'll talk about that and much more after this.